In today's video, we're giving advice for your Roblox games. We're going to be giving them a quick play and then going over ways to improve. The first game that we have is called Arcane Tycoon by 4Pros only. And joining the game, I will admit the map does look a little dull, but let's go ahead, claim our Tycoon, and see how this turns out. I've also got to say the UI, it is very dark. When you want to make a Roblox game, it's all about how can you keep the player having a good time in your game for as long as possible. And a good way to do that is bright colors. Another great way to do that is simply to replace these realistic textures with more cartoony ones. I believe you can find some pretty cool textures inside of the toolbox. Just type in textures and you should find some cartoony textures in there to use for absolutely free. Anyways, let's claim this tycoon real quick and get right to work. So I really do like how you added the dropper progression and even just some upgrader changes as well. That's something I have noticed a lot in this series, that all the droppers seem to be pretty much the same. I like how you started off with nothing on this dropper. This one had a little band right here, and then this one has some more bands and a little neon light. The same thing right here. This upgrader seems to be powered off almost, and this upgrader seems to be powered on, which is a pretty cool detail that you added right there. I've got to give it to you. Pretty epic. And yes, you did perfectly by putting the gear on the first floor. And you have gear that's related to the Tycoon's theme. In this case, it's water. So having a trident and a bubble gun, that's perfect. So ultimately, I do think that this Tycoon is still a work in progress, but I think it was absolutely amazing of you to add different abilities, and I can imagine that there are different abilities for every different Tycoon as well, which is incredibly impressive. I like all the changes that you made in the progression, the droppers, and upgraders. It's always cool to see these little details like that. The only thing that is subtracting a few points from your overall score is the overall build and the UI. The UI itself is very dark. Once again, you can look for those textures inside of the toolbox to use for the map, and then I would recommend maybe making some new trees or just sizing a few of these down a little bit so it doesn't look like it was just copy and pasted over and over again. I think overall I'm going to have to rate this Tycoon a 6.5 out of 10. It's a unique idea, unique abilities. But once again, the build and the UI have got to be updated. So the next game we have is called Candy Factory Tycoon. And joining the map right away, it definitely is a refresher to see a pretty well built map. Let's go ahead and claim this Tycoon to get started, and let's start. So you have yourself a very cool dropper. I've got to give it to you there. Got all the little candies on it and the frosting and everything. Very cool. And we're dropping some custom meshes, which are gingerbread cookies. One thing that was always satisfying to me in a lot of Tycoons was that they would start off with these droppers that would just drop off like, I don't know, maybe a batch of dough or so. And then they would go through the dropper conveyor belt system, and every time they'd go through a certain machine, such as the oven, there was like a freezer, there are all sorts of these different machines that it goes through, and it adds some detail to the mesh as it goes along. So it could add like the frosting, it could change the color, could add some particles to it. So I think that could be an interesting idea to add. So you start off with just a blank gingerbread cookie. And you have some machines like an icing machine, maybe even an oven so that you can cook the gingerbread cookie. Just different ideas like that I think could be beneficial. Another thing I'm noticing is that it does seem to take a while for the things to load in, so maybe up the speed a little bit. Now, I'm not sure if these are just kind of placeholder droppers at the moment, but if we go down here to the first floor, you can see everything about the gingerbread cookie dropper. You know, there's candy and frosting on it. There's even gingerbread cookies on it. And if we go over to the chocolate dropper, you can see there's chocolate on it. There's little, I guess, just details of chocolate all over these droppers. But if we go up to the cupcake dropper, it doesn't appear to be that way. Like, yes, the colors are cupcake-like, but it just simply doesn't look very much like a cupcake dropper to me. So a few details you could add would just be having like some frosting up here on the top, and maybe even just those little wrappers around the bottom here, which could be pretty epic. So don't get me wrong, I can tell you put a lot of effort into this, and it really is a great Tycoon and all, but I feel like we're simply just losing out on quality of the droppers. Like, it started out really cool, you had your very own unique ideas, and they were very custom to what they were dropping. But then out here, it looks like you just took like 5-10 minutes just slapping a few parts on this model here. And I can tell it is a cookie dropper, but it just doesn't feel unique to me. It just kind of feels generic, or that you rushed it. Doesn't feel very special. So a few things I would improve on would be a little bit on the lighting, and then overall just maybe going through remaking a few of these droppers just to make them a bit more, I guess, unique to what they're going to be dropping, and up the quality like the first few were. But other than that, I think you got yourself a very great Tycoon. I think I would personally give this one an 8 out of 10 simply because of the build and how enjoyable of a Tycoon it's been. I think it could definitely raise up a 1.5 to be a 10 out of 10 Tycoon with a little bit more attention to the build. The very next game that we have is called The Nostalgic Nightmare by HoorzV. I've got to give it to him. I love the realistic textures here. It looks like we have 1-player, 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player options here for the game. So I'm going to hop into a 1-player game real quick, and I guess we can test out the game. Now I want to read the description for you guys. Why were we forgotten? We shaped everything. We shaped you. We started Roblox. And now all of a sudden, we have no one. Completely gone. Forever. It's time to take action. Welcome to the Nostalgic Nightmare. Alright, so hopping right into the game, it looks like we have some guy talking to us. He's one of the first Robloxians, but he sees places that look like people have been here before. So it looks like we're on the original Crossroads map, which I gotta say, it is very cool you incorporated that into a horror game. So it looks like the first things that we need to do is collect up all the notes. My holy crown before Roblox, before you, and before this game. There's got to be some sort of lore behind this about the creators of Roblox going missing, maybe. How I see the world today is not like I saw it at the time. So I've got to give it to you. It's a very unique idea to find all these notes, especially given that you only have like 10 minutes to find all of them. And so it kind of, oh, that is terrifying. That really scared me in all honesty. I don't think he can follow us for too long. Let's get this Bloxy Cola to keep on finding notes. So I'll be honest, I didn't even realize there was someone out here chasing me, but oh my goodness, give me the note. Oh, alright, I died that time. Let me try one more time. That was actually really, really scary. Alright, so whenever the guy sees you, it looks like your camera actually makes a few changes. So you can have that sort of advantage over him, I guess. And it does look like you run a little bit faster than he does, which is pretty cool. The only problem is trying to find the notes while he's actively chasing you. So I'll be honest, playing this game, it really is almost a perfect horror game. It's got every aspect of a horror game that you could ever want, really. It's absolutely terrifying, has a main objective for your game. It's got a very dark atmosphere, which in some games it doesn't work out too well, but this game pulls it off flawlessly, I believe, especially with the flashlight. Oh, he was right there in front of me. I'm going to give myself a heart attack if I keep playing this game. Alright, so yeah, I ran out of time. He says he found me. But anyways, I think I'm going to end this video here. So I thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video just as much as I did, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.